Greetings from the void, 40 here, and today I want to demonstrate a new method I found for saving data in my Godot games without needing to rely on any autoloads or globals or whatever you want to call them. In one of my older projects, Money Match Quest, I had a pretty bad save system, and it relied on being an autoload to ensure its attributes and methods are accessible from anywhere. But it was honestly a mess, and if I kept developing the game further, it would have just become a nightmare to keep using. Not because of being autoloaded specifically, but because of the way I had it handling data. Instead of having methods that could have data passed into them from anywhere in the project, I instead had every single bit of data that needed to be saved, all in the global script, and then other parts of the game would just reference it every time it was needed. Anytime I wanted to add some new data, I'd need to add it to the global script, as well as the save and load methods, and it just got more and more ridiculous. Anyway, today I wanted to showcase a way you can have a functional save/load system while keeping your autoloads clean, or maybe even removing them entirely, depending on what you're using them for. In this case, there's not going to be any real performance increase that you'd actually notice, but it's just some peace of mind that there's less unnecessary things being loaded. So I have a little project I created for this video where you can increase and decrease a value and save and load it. It's incredibly basic, but it's just supposed to demonstrate that the concept works. This isn't limited to just one value. I have another scene here with two values that both get saved and loaded perfectly fine as well. The data in your game will of course be different, but this will apply to any data type, from ints to strings to dictionaries and all manners of other things. The only thing happening in these scenes is a very simple script that listens to signals from the buttons to adjust a value. The save and load buttons don't actually contain any of the logic for saving and loading. Instead, they call a method from this save system class that I've created, and they pass in the file name and what data should be saved. The save system class is where all the actual processes happen. As you can see, all the methods for saving, loading, and deleting files are all here. So there's a couple things to note that are allowing us to access these methods so easily from the other script. The first one is that this script is defined at the top as its own class. Classes can be referenced from any other scripts just like autoloads. However, in order to actually use them, you'd usually need to create an instance of that class or an object, and then execute the methods from that. The reason we're able to avoid that is because these methods are marked as static. The static keyword basically tells Godot that this method or attribute is not tied to any instance of the class. It's not unique between instances, instead it's tied to the class script itself and can be run as is just by calling the method. This is the reason in the example script from earlier we were able to save and load the data with just a single line. Now, before you go ahead and change all your autoloads to classes with static methods, you should bear in mind that when doing this, the class doesn't have direct access to any nodes. So if you have something that needs that kind of direct access to the scene tree to interact with nodes, you might want to hold off or think of an alternate approach. You may end up having some issues with this technique in other areas that it's not suited for. Generally, this kind of approach is best for some sort of simple data management that you find yourself doing quite a lot. For example, if you have a specific mathematical equation that you use a lot for your project, you might benefit from setting up your own math class and creating a static method to perform that calculation. Things like that are an excellent use of this kind of structure, and I really recommend it. But anyways, this is just a short video showcasing this approach. I'm not planning on explaining in depth how I've structured my save and load methods, but if you want, you can go back in the video and reference them. Or if you would like me to make a video that's a bit more in depth, then let me know in the comments, and I'll probably end up doing it. Hopefully this has been helpful to you in your project. I wish you the best of luck. Have an excellent day.